Hello, my name is Amina and I'm your decision-making specialist. And today in shelter, April 28th, 2020, and that means, woohoo, day 43. Here we are, and I'm glad you're here. And this morning I was listening to the news. Usually I don't listen to the news really early. And it was talking about something new about it's looking like the virus has a tendency for some reason to cause the person to have blood clots. And that they're thinking that it also affects all the organs, not just the lungs, and that it can affect the kidneys. And then to add to that, there's a great deal of uncertainty, don't you love that word, about whether there really is going to be a herd immunity. That we don't know. They're starting to try to figure out if somebody has had the full-blown virus, if they've had the virus with it being asymptomatic, if afterwards, if they are immune, if so, how long? So they're doing testing on blood serum now, all these different tests, because some people have temperatures and some don't. So it's like, well, it could be this, and well, maybe not. Everything is just swirling. And anyway, I listened to that in the morning, and every time that I think, okay, I'm healthy, I exercise, my mindset is good, I hear something else and I think, oh wow, I may be more vulnerable than what I think, more vulnerable than what I wish. And I'm wondering, does that happen to you, that you just have these moments, and not that you forget, just an eyelash of a normal feeling, and like, okay, I got a grip on this, I've got the information. And then all of a sudden something new comes and you think, oh gosh, well, there you go. Well, with that, I turned off the news, and I have some music that I listen to, and it relaxes me, and it gives me what I have told you, cloud time, just to let my mind wander and see what comes. And what wandering does for me in my mind is that it helps me leave space for things other than the stark staring reality that's going on. It's not the same as denial or pretending that all of this isn't real, or that it's some kind of a made-up thing to get attention. No, it's just my mind gets too full. And so for me, mindfulness means to pay attention when my mind is full, and then to use whatever resources work for me, whatever you do that gives you just an eyelash of a respite. And it's part of self-care. It's part of having the courage to go on. And as my mind was wandering, I thought of my grandfather. I've learned so much from him. He's one of those people, maybe you know someone, maybe all of us do. I just know that for me, my grandfather didn't talk a whole bunch. kind of quiet. And he was good at talking. He just was kind of quiet. And he called a pension, it was Social Security, and so to supplement that, he took care of the town graveyard. And maybe for some people that sounds, ooh, wow. For me, as a little kid, it was wonderful. Just wonderful. So in the mornings, I was always asked, Pumpkin, you want to go with Grandpa? You want to stay here? And so then I got to decide who I wanted to spend my day with. And when I chose to go with my grandfather, he would take me to the cemetery. He wore overalls and a blue country shirt and always a hat, and a narrow-brimmed hat, not a big Texas style hat or cowboy hat. And what he said was that I asked him one day, because he said, I say, Pumpkin, get your hat if you're coming with me. And, oh, Grandpa, I don't want to wear a hat. Because, see, I like to run free, and I had long hair, and I liked it to blow all over the place when I was running. Get your hat. I said, oh, okay. So I put it on. And I asked him one day, how come I had to wear a hat? I said, if I run, it falls off. It gets in the way. I can't see. It falls down and on, just as a little kid would do. And he says, well, I'll tell you why. And I said, okay. And he said, to keep your head cool. And I said, well, I run. My head's cool enough. And he said, no, the inside of your head. And I said, Grandpa, what are you talking about? You can't cool the inside of your head. And he says, well, let me tell you, Pumpkin. He says, you wear a hat. You keep the sun off the top of your head. And that's to keep the outside cool. And he said, the inside keeping cool is that you can always keep your brain clear. I thought, what? And he said, your brain gets hot when you're thinking, and it uses up a lot. And that just didn't make sense. Fact is, the research now is showing that inside of our head, temperature just does change, and we do use a lot of energy. So, thanks, Grandpa. You were right, as always. So, anyway, I wore my hat whether I understood it or not. And I would hold his hand, and my grandpa was not a real tall man. I liked that because I could hold his hand without mine going up like that. The only thing was, my grandpa walked faster than anyone I've ever met. And that's how I learned to walk fast. I had to keep up with him. Anyway, we would go to the cemetery, and he would cut the grass, and I would wander around. And what I got to do is when the flowers were wilted, I got the ribbons and I collected them, all the colored ribbons. I would take them home and I would iron them, and then I would roll them up and put them in a shoebox. And those ribbons just brought me joy. And I was wondering today what your ribbons are. What brings you joy? With all the stuff going on, what brings you joy? Even an eyelash of joy. And the thing is, when I was little and I was ironing my ribbons and I was rolling them up and putting them in a shoebox, I wasn't also worrying about living and dying because of a special kind of flu. I didn't know anything except what was going on in the cemetery with my grandpa and those ribbons. So sometime during the day, find your moment of joy. What gives you joy that you can depend on? And something else my grandfather taught me is about my running, because one day I just tore loose and I was flying all over the place. I just love to run. I love the freedom, the wind in my face, the sun on my hair. I just carried my hat. And he said that there was a way to run and not fall. And I said, okay, Grandpa, how you do that? And he said, you run fast enough to get where you want to go. And you run slow enough and pay attention so you see the rocks before you fall. And I really wanted to give that to you also. While you're finding your moment of joy, remember that here and out there, you might want to go as fast as you can and slow enough that you can see the rocks and keep safe. Because every word I hear is about safety. And each of us has to figure out what the science says about us keeping safe and what we feel is safe, and be honest with yourself. Be honest if it feels safe to go and do a certain thing. Be honest and aware of which stores feel as if they've taken the best precautions for you, which restaurants or takeout part of the restaurant feels safe, and you have proof of the safety features that they're building into their business now. And that's something that we're all going to have to do. Learn how to iron our ribbons, find our joy, and also be creative. In turn, be an artist, be a scientist, both together, to figure out all the different ways to feel safe, to see the safety going on, and build that into our life, because that is the new normal. We think, oh, when we go out there, what's it going to be like? Slowly and surely, we are finding out that it is building safety into everything. And that safety is literally a matter of life and death for us, for our children, for our parents, if we're lucky enough to have them, for our friends, for everyone out there, and include that safety in as much as we can keep safe. We're helping everyone around us. We're also helping the doctors, the nurses, the store clerks, everybody that we come in contact with, so that they can be alive and well and provide us the service that we need in order for our lives to go on. So we, like my box of ribbons with all the rolled up colors, we're all in this together. We're in this together in a lot of different ways. And part of our job going out there and being here is to take care of one another. And that doesn't mean that we do everything for everyone. It means that we're aware. We're open to potentials, wonderful and not so wonderful. We're aware of the joy of our own personal ribbons. And we're aware of wanting and helping and asking for that same joy for everyone around us, no matter what. And then the awareness to be able to know where the rocks are and have the confidence that we are going slow enough that we can avoid falling, and fast enough that we have our story to write, that we love it, that we have a magnificent legacy. And the idea is to stay alive and live that story. Now that you're writing the one that you want, making your now a better yesterday and a marvelous future. To watch out for the what ifs that you don't want and focus on the what ifs that you do. That is a big job. And meanwhile, keep on. You're doing great. To have fear and to still move forward is courage. To run, to walk where you want to go, and know there are rocks and still keep moving is courage. The courage to be able to give yourself permission to feel the joy of your box of ribbons, whatever it is, and to still be aware that a lot more people are dying and not feeling well. And a lot of people are risking their lives to take care of those people, to take care of us if our turn comes. So keep that "and" in mind. And live the joy, because we owe it to the people that are unable to live the joy. We owe it to them to be a person of courage, because otherwise there's no one to carry on, and that's our job. Thanks. I know I've kind of wandered all over. It's just there's a lot of wandering going on, and there's just a lot of in-shelter fatigue that comes, and blurring, and most of all, find your box of ribbons while you honor those who have lost theirs. Thanks for coming. Click subscribe. Leave a comment. I really want to know that I'm not just out here by myself. And come back. I'll be here. And you I will be looking for. Thanks. Bye now.